What's up guys, Joshua Lopez here, taking a look at a new piece of epic gear, the KSR Vesta. Now, if you guys are familiar with KSR, then I'm pretty sure you already know about the KSR Series 3 channel preamp that's on the market right now. It's got a clean channel, a rhythm channel, and a lead channel. But we're not talking about that today. Today we're talking about the new Vesta, which is pretty much the counterpart of the series. Everything that we wanted to do with the series, we pretty much did with the Vesta. So it's not as tight, it's a lot thicker, saturated, and it's got a lot more vintage high gain vibes. So if you guys wanted something that was a little more on the 6-string side, maybe you play some rock, blues, something that's not so extreme and is not extended range, then the Vesta is the perfect preamp for you. So if you already know what the series has, the Vesta has pretty much the same thing. It's got a gain knob, a bass, mid, and treble knob, and a level knob for each channel. And each channel has a bright switch, a feel switch that controls the low end response from fat, thick, and tight. And you have a mode knob, and the mode knob is pretty much like your gain knob. You have classic on the top, vintage high gain on the bottom, and in the middle you have full total saturation. And that pretty much goes for both the rhythm and the lead channel. Now before I go and compare it to the series, let's just go real quick and mess with these switches so you can kind of get a feel of the range and the distortion, saturation that the KSR Vesta has to offer. Here we have a 6-string ligature. I have Fishman's. This is going directly into the Vesta, straight out into the effects loop of my Egnator. That's coming back into my orange 212 with vintage 30s, mic'd up with a 57 slightly off axis. That's all going into my tone bass preamp, straight into my Audient ID14 interface. So let's put everything in the middle, pretty much default, and let's hear what that all sounds like. So that's everything directly in the middle. Let's go and check the lead channel now. Everything in the middle. So it's got a very nice, thick, chunky, saturated feel to it already compared to the series. It's not as tight, it's not as metal, it's a little more, you know, modern rock, if you will. Now let's go through real quick what each switch does before we start messing with some knobs. So let's go back to the rhythm channel. The bright switch, this is the difference between the two options you have. It's pretty much how much bright it lets in before the distortion happens. So the bright up, which is on. Let's turn the bright down. It's a little more smoothed over, not as chimey. One more time. So I like the way the dark sounds. Now let's move on to the next one. It's the feel knob. We pretty much have fat on the top, thick on the bottom, and in the center we have tight. So let's go to the fat. That's a little more classic rock, if you will. It's letting a lot more low end into it. Let's go to thick. It's like it's pushing the low end in a different way, so it's not so round, but it's still thick. And then lastly, we have the tight knob. So I like the thick knob. I'm gonna leave it on the thick knob. Now let's go to the mode knob. This is where a lot of mojo comes in. We got classic on the top, vintage high gain on the bottom, and we have full saturation. So we're gonna go to classic gain. You could probably do something a little more like. Sounds really nice for that type of stuff. We're gonna go a little more gain into vintage high gain. It's got more saturation, but if you want to go a little more overboard, we got full saturation, and it sounds rockin', modern, and awesome like this. I like those settings, you know, a little smoothed out. We got a nice thick low end, and we have full saturation. Pretty good. Now let's kind of do the same with the lead real quick, see what we like. You already know what the knobs do. Let's just go through with the motion. So we got the bright switch on, bright switch off, back on. Since we're doing leads, I'm gonna leave that on because it sounds real nice. Let's go to the feel knob. Got a lot of bass in there. A little more punchy, and then we got full tight. I'm going to leave it on the thick just as well. Then let's go to the gain. I don't think we want classic. Go to the vintage high gain. I like that. Let's go to the full saturation. Now I like a little more dynamic in my lead, so I'm actually going to go to the vintage high gain. Gives me a little more control on the overall dynamics of the leads that I'm playing. Now that we kind of went through that before turning any knobs, let's compare it to the series. So right now I have them both on the rhythm channel. I'm gonna go and A/B them real quick. Let's put the knobs on the same settings. Make sure we got that there. Cool, so it's gonna be the same settings. We're just gonna go and compare the two. So here's the rhythm of the Vesta. The series. You can see it is a lot more shrill. We lost some low end, and it's probably something meant more for metal. So that's already a big difference right there. Let's go back and forth a little bit more. Now, I love the way the series sounds. It all depends on what you're going to use it for. If rock or classic rock or something like that that's not so high gainy, you might want to look into the Vesta. If you're a metal guy and you want something over the top, tight, then the series is great for you. You just got to know what your application is and what's going to work well for you. Or you are like me and you just want the best of both worlds and you just keep them both on your pedal board. So let's do the same with the lead channel. We're going to switch to the lead. Let's go back to the Vesta. And go back. It's real great, it's real thick and punchy, but if you want something a little more smoother and a little more rock, then the Vesta is definitely the one for you. So that is the Vesta compared to the series. Real quick, I'm gonna dial in the knobs to what I think fits this pickup and what I want it for, and that will pretty much wrap up this video. So, the Vesta, let's go back to the rhythm. What makes a rhythm channel? Get it gamed up to where I want it for rhythm. Give it a little more bass low end. A little bit more. I don't mind going a little brighter. Go back to that bass. And let's check the mids out. I want it deep, a little chimey, and very punchy, so that's why we boosted some low end, boosted some top end, and we boosted a little bit of mids. Back off on the highs a little bit, a little too chimey. Now let's go to the lead, dial in a really cool lead real quick. Take the bass down, see what it sounds like. Don't want that, we definitely want it to have some weight, so. Now I want it a little chimey, so let's check the highs out. And I want to scoop it a little bit, so let's see the range of our mids. I don't want the leads to be as pushy. I have the series for that. I want it to be a little more scooped and a little more silky, so that's why I'm deciding to take the mids down just a bit. Let's make up with some bass. So that is the KSR Vesta. I hope you guys learned a little bit of the differences between the series and the Vesta. I highly suggest these two pedals, depending on what your style is. That's for you to decide. And if you think you need them both, then it's probably because you do. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. My name is Joshua Lopez, and I can't wait to see you all next time.